Hello, good morning, and welcome to Dawn Busters Taste Challenge. Well, it's still dark. There might be the slightest glimmer of light. Every day that goes by, it's going to get darker and darker. I'm going to have to start using the lamp. I like to do it, and then the sun comes up as we taste, but stinking daylight savings time, you know. All right, here are the two bourbons. This is Kings County Peated Bourbon Whiskey. And these are both aged 2 years, okay? 90 proof. This is produced in New York City, Brooklyn, New York. And it's in this old medicine-shaped bottle. My friend David got this for me. It was expensive, you know. I think he got a deal on it, but it usually runs about $50. DSP New York 15025. That's distilled spirits plant. They claim this is the first known peated bourbon. It's not straight bourbon for whatever weird reason, because it is aged 2 years. It is produced in one state. So I don't know why they're not calling it straight bourbon. But anyway, they sell a straight bourbon, but it's not peated. But you say, well, peated would make it not straight. No. If they use peated malt from Scotland, okay, they do that. They use peated malt from Scotland. But that's just the malt from Scotland. It's distilled in New York. They don't use anybody's outside whiskey. So it's a mystery. If you can figure it out, you win the prize, which is an accolade from me saying good job. Now, Jesse James, America's Outlaw Bourbon. This is a 2-year age version. The one they have on their website now is 3-year age. So I think my friend David got this for $38, the one in my right hand. And I got this Jesse James for $7.99. True story, a liter, $7.99. What's the real price? About $18 for a regular bottle. $18 versus $50 for the Kings County craft bourbon. You know what I mean. We'll do a check on Total Wine, see if they got it. Okay, well, we'll pour it while I'm waiting for that to upload. So both aged 2 years, but the big but is that the Kings County is 90 proof, whereas the Jesse James is 80. It should make the difference. Now, I was dismayed yesterday. I got it wrong. It was the third failure with this series, and I was very irritated. But I quickly got over it. But especially when the White Sox won last night over the Astros, I couldn't stay up for the whole thing. I got sleepy, but I had wet the cork and it went on my hands. It's that particle board cork, you know, that press board cork. It's real cork. It's just not a solid piece of cork like you get with some. Okay. Good. Perfect. Perfect. You go over there. All right. Let's see. Let's see if we can find a price here. Just be sure. Kings County. There we go. Brooklyn is Kings County. And then they have Queens, and Richmond County is Staten Island. New York County is Manhattan, and then Bronx County is the Bronx. Okay. Named after a guy that had a big farm there, Bronx, B-O. I think his name was actually spelled B-R-O-N-C-K-S, something like that. Okay, Dutch guy. Straight bourbon whiskey, $54.99. Yeah, told you. Chocolate whiskey. All right, the peated bourbon, they have a 375 for 31.99. So twice that is 62, 63. $64, 63.98. But I think it would be cheaper if you bought the 750 cheap. It'd still be about 55. So see what I'm saying? Let's say $55. Yeah. Glad he bought it because I wasn't going to pay it. All right. Not for some product I don't even know about. I don't do that. I'm not a risk taker. I mean, I might pay that kind of money for a product I'm aware of. Okay, search all stores. Exactly. $18. $17.99. I knew I was right. All right. Okay. So once we're finished with bourbon, which is going to be right now in a few minutes, then it's on starting tomorrow on to American blended whiskey. I've got too many bottles of that stuff, but they're going down, 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 down. Some are close and empty, thankfully. They're not all bad. In fact, some are good, but some of them are, especially those Heaven Hill brands. Those are scary. But I shouldn't be shocked. There's a video from whiskey.com where they're interviewing this guy who retired, the spokesman for the distillery, Heaven Hill, and then he laughs. I don't remember the video address, but they were saying, what happens with the bourbon that doesn't come out quite right? He says, oh, we blend it off we blend it off in our blends. And he laughed. He busted out laughing. Ha, ha, ha. Like, ha, ha, ha. We just dump it and let the fools buy it. You know, it was kind of like the attitude. And I thought, well, that's kind of strange. You know, you're laughing about how you cast off, imperfect bourbon or, messed up in some sort of way. But then on the bottles, it'll talk about, made with pride in Bardstown, Kentucky, with the finest, blah, 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 and all of this stuff. And I'm thinking, wow. So you claim on the bottle it's made with pride to perfection and all of this, but then you're laughing on video about how it's just cast off stuff. So I thought that was revealing, He's got a Facebook page. I was trying to make friends with him, but just basically so I could ask him some questions, but he wouldn't accept it. I guess he retired and he doesn't want to be bothered by people. You mean you're a nag? You want to nag people? I do want to nag people about whiskey questions, or beer questions, not to, really actually nag them. So I'm curious, but no big deal. I can understand somebody you don't know. Yeah, same old story here. It smells like cornbread, yellow corn grits. And basically that's what we're dealing with. So is the Jesse James bourbon complex? No. What's the mash bill? Who knows? We know it's at least 51% corn. It's not straight bourbon because they probably was bottled in California. That means, but it didn't say it was distilled in California, which means the bourbon is coming from somewhere else. Indiana, Kentucky, probably one of those two places. And then that would disqualify it as straight bourbon because it has to be distilled all in the same state. Not bottled. So that's see what I mean? I think it's that it's coming from different states and they're blending it. But, it's no big deal. It's been on par with the straight bourbons, okay? So it's not like, oh, it's such a big difference. No, it's been, there is almost no difference. All right. So is straight bourbon versus bourbon sort of a marketing thing? It is in a way, because they both have to be aged in charred oak. Whether it would come from different states, that wouldn't really matter if the product was quality. But then the aging is a factor, see? So they have to be at least 80 proof, but the aging, straight bourbon must be aged at least 2 years, whereas regular bourbon can be less than that. Sounds outrageous, but it's true. Well, why should I be shocked? I had that Redemption High Rye, and that stuff was so bland. And it said on the bottle, this bourbon is aged at least 1 year. I said, 1 whole year. Oh, by golly. And they charging that kind of money for it. I wanted to get a redemption of my money, you know. Okay, now peated. That means smoky peat, like Isla whiskeys, single malt. Oh, and they make a single malt bourbon also at that company. Yeah, this got a little smokiness, but let me tell you, I've had this bourbon so many times now, and it's not really that smoky. There's just a little hint of it, which is different because most bourbons have no hint of it, you know. So we don't know the mash bills, and we don't know, which means we don't know the percentages. Can a bourbon be 100% corn? Yes. And it can be any number down to number 51. It's got to be at least 51% corn. The other 49% doesn't matter. You can even use unaged grain spirits and blend it. You just have to call it blended bourbon, you see. But you can make it 51% corn and 49% wheat. You can make it 51% corn and 49% rye. You can make it 51% corn and 49% single malt, you know, malted barley, or you know, however you want to, how creative you want to be. And this has got to be the Kings County. I'm telling you, it's got to be, because that Jesse James is just like average, just typical average smelling bourbon. Just smell like any other bourbon. This does not. Now, does this smell like I would want to pay $55 for it? No, I didn't go that ends. I'm not going that far. But it's definitely unique. So I'm going to call it on aroma only. And I got it. Haha. All right. So however many bourbons I tried, I can look back in my records. I got that many right and so many wrong. I know I got 3 wrong. Got it wrong 3 times. Not a terrible record, but not as good as I would have liked. Of course, I would like 100% correct, but that's almost impossible with these kind of things. Now I see people doing blind taste tests with beer, but it's bizarre. One guy was doing regular beer versus light beer. I said, well, that's strange to me, because how would you get it wrong? I mean, one is light, one has got a body to it, you know, a little bit body. Now this tastes like cornbread, corn, distilled corn, charred oak, and so forth. Oh, then they'll do, like, I'm gonna do Guinness Stout. What was the guy doing? Guinness Stout versus like some kind of lager, like some like Miller High Life or whatever. I was like, well, how is that even a challenge? It's so bizarre. Oh, I mean, it's interesting in a way that, you know, you tasting them, but I mean, you obviously know which is which by aroma. Just so I don't like cross styling. I think it makes little sense. You're gonna do taste challenges, do light beers versus other light lagers, you know, red ales versus other red ales. You could maybe stretch it and say red lagers because they're so similar oftentimes in flavor, but still I wouldn't do it. Stouts versus stouts, right? Bourbon versus bourbon, blended whiskey versus blended whiskey, clear rum versus clear rum. I mean, I've gone probably illicit in some of mine when I did that blackstrap molasses bourbon, not bourbon, rum, right? Blackstrap molasses rum against golden rum. You say, well, that's not the same. And how are you going to get it wrong? It's not the same, and I'm not going to get it wrong. But there's, I don't think in any time soon I'll be buying a bunch of black rum. So I'm just throwing it in there, but I'll just make a disclaimer when I'm doing the video that this is not really proper, Oh yeah. On its own, when I did this bourbon on its own, it didn't taste smoky really. I just didn't find it taste smoky or peaty. Now in competition, it's like somebody threw a smoke bomb. You buy those fireworks and they got the smoke bomb. It's crazy. It's smoke. All of these things have interesting characteristics, especially in a relative sense. It says a hybrid. They might have not put straight bourbon because they might have not really known if it could be called straight bourbon. I mean, the company may not have known. They might have said, we don't even know. If we use peated malt, maybe that disqualifies it. Well, it doesn't, okay? But, they call it bourbon. Okay, it's so reminiscent of Scotch whiskey that it's mind-boggling in a way. I don't find the 90 versus 80 proofs making a big difference. You say, wait till you try to walk straight. Well, yeah, but all right. So Kings County bourbon. Is it worth $55? I don't know, man. I mean, if you want something strange and you just gotta try it, I guess go ahead and buy it. But if it was $38, I would feel a lot better about it. If it was $38, I'd say yeah. And like I said, my friend Dave got it for $38. Somewhere had it on special. I don't begrudge that. That is strange, but good. You know what I mean? It's strange and good. It's smoky, it's peaty. You get that corn and it's good. All right. I know what you're going to say. You say, well, blended scotch has corn in it. They can use corn liquor and also bring in like around 20% single malts. That's true. They can do it and they do it. And if they use new charred oak barrels, it would be theoretically a bourbon, but not in a legal sense, you see, because you can't call it bourbon unless it's from the United States of America. And I don't even know if that includes territories like Puerto Rico, the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico, or the U.S. Virgin Islands. I don't know if those would count. I think it might have to be literally in the United States. Even D.C., the District of Columbia, might disqualify it as a bourbon. But you'd have to research that. So, interesting question. Yeah, Jesse James is fine. It's bringing out a little vanilla in it and nougat that you get in Three Musketeers bar, which is like a marshmallow type thing. No complaints. Would I recommend Jesse James for $17.99, the going price right now? Yes, I would. Wouldn't be running around searching for it. No. Wouldn't make a big production out of it. But yeah, something different. I mean, it's really not that great of a value though when you think about it. I mean, that's the case for many things. I mean, you can get I mean, they got some bourbons like Ancient Age. You can get it for $9.99. And this is really no better than Ancient Age. Some people don't like Ancient Age. Oh, Ancient Age, that's terrible. It's horrible. It's not terrible. It's not horrible. McAfee's Benchmark number 8. It's not horrible. And they're all fine, but they're just not in any way remarkable. But this one isn't either. So why pay? That's the point. Why pay $18.99? I'm sorry, $17.99 when they got others for $9.99, even $8.99, even with this JB inflation. So now, if you say, "Well, I just want the bottle," I'm gonna give it as a gift. My friend loves Jesse James Dupree. he went to see Jackal, you know. Well, dawn is coming, and I'm going to have the sun shining down on me. Yeah, well, then you would buy it, you know, for that instance. But aside from the novelty of it being a rock and roll personality product, I mean, yeah. So I've been happy with it, but I haven't ever, you notice in the video, I never was saying, oh, this is fabulous, you know. But I wasn't saying it was bad. I actually gave it a good score. So yeah, it's fine. It's fine. And for the price I paid, it's really great. $7.99 a liter. Madness, huh? Like the bridge over the River Kwai. Madness. Madness. Joe Biden's Dentist says, good morning, sir. And good morning to George Orwell, wherever he is. Yes. In our Orwellian world. Okay. Well, y'all take care now and be ready for tomorrow. Unless I do a preemptive one today, but be ready tomorrow for blended, American blended whiskey. Yep. Royale Club. The rare and mysterious Royale Club from Sazerac, who tries to almost hide their name on the bottle. They got a micro compressed print, but I caught it. I have pretty good vision for close up. No, I wear glasses for far away. Yeah. But if it's close, you know, I can see it pretty well. Okay. Thanks, everybody.